Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and we're back to our request from our subscribers. And this one is number 7, and it is Steph Gibson. And she requested fancy fun fold card or some 3D projects. So we've already done a fancy fun fold card earlier. So we're going to name this box the Steph box, and it is a 3D project. It's a cute little box, and what I'm going to keep in mind is some of my punches and things. Keep them corralled in here because usually they're all over everywhere and it's hard for me to find them. So that will keep them corralled in there. So I'm going to show you exactly how to make this. The size that I make it, I used scrap paper for all of this. And so we're going to get started on this. Thank you so much, Steph, for your request. Let's see what else she said. Fancy fun fold card or some 3D projects, please, as I'm in self-isolation as I have an autoimmune disease and also she's asthmatic. So, all right, this is what we're making for you, Steph. I hope you enjoy it. So you're going to start out with 5 pieces of cardstock. This one is 4 1/4 by 8. These two are 3 by 8. And then these two are 4 1/4 by 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a box just like we have made before. We're going to use our construction strips. Now I usually have a lot of these already made up, so I keep them in my little drawer here. And you can see I have a variety of sizes. Some I already have the score tape on, so I keep them all in here, and I made this little pouch to keep them in. But I'm going to use white ones on the inside, and then on the outside, since this is chipboard, I'll use the craft color. So if you've never made a construction strip before, all you need to do is cut your paper 1 inch wide, and then just ever how long you want it to be. If you've got 12-inch paper, then 1 inch wide by 12. I save all of my scraps, and I'll show you my scraps here. These are just a lot of scraps that I've had over time. I save all of those, and then I cut them down to 1 inch wide, and then you're going to score them in the center. So score them at 1/2 inch, and then you're going to put score tape on each side of that score line, just like that. So see, they're scored in the center, and then I have score tape over here and over here, right up near that score line. That's the construction strip. So I'm just going to lay them up on here and see how long I need these. You just cut them to the length that you need. So I know I'm going to need 2 that length. And then that's not going to be long enough for that, so I'm going to cut a couple more for this. Now I save all of these little pieces. I can use them later on another project. Right, so we're going to lay this out just like it's going to come together. I'm going to let the white go on the inside, I think. The outside will be a little bit easier to cover. Now, what you need to do is on the end of these, you need to go to the open edge and just cut up at a little bit of an angle so that you have kind of that point there. So go to the open edge and cut up to that corner. Just gives you that little point, and this just keeps down some of the bulk in putting your project together. Now what we want to do is pull one side of the backing off of the score tape, and we're going to lay it with the fold side up to the edge, right on the edge of that piece of chipboard, right there, all the way down, just like that. You see my folded edges right here. I've got it laid just as close as I can. And then I'm going to do that on the other side. So just make sure that you get it as close to that edge as you can without going over. Just like that. And then, let's see. All right, I'm going to lay that there. Now, let me tell you this. If you are not going to, what I want is to have my chipboard up here at the top covered over with this white. But if you don't want that, you don't have to put a construction strip on this side. But I want to fold this over and have mine covered so that I won't have raw chipboard sticking up there. So that's why I'm putting mine on both sides. But you don't have to do that if you're not planning on covering the chipboard like I am. I just think it gives it a little bit better look. A little bit more finished. Alright, lay that over there. Now we're going to do the same exact thing to this one on this side. We're going to pull the backing off of one side of that and put that right up at the edge. Now I'm just using 1/4 inch score tape. You could certainly use 1/2 if you wanted to. I'm just using my 1/4. Okay. Alright, so there is both of them on that, and then I need to put it on both sides of this. Okay, we've got it there, and then we'll cut 2 for down here. I put my strips on first, and then I go back and put my pieces together. A lot of people put just one strip on and attach it and go from there. It doesn't matter. It just seems to come together quicker for me if I do it this way. It probably doesn't, but it seems like it does. Okay, so then you're going to put one strip on either end. Make sure that you're putting it on this end, the long end. There we go. We've got that. We've got those. And now we're going to need a piece right here on one of these sides. It doesn't matter which, because this will come up, that'll come up, so we'll need something to attach right here. And I think these are going to be the perfect size. These little short ones that we save back over here. Yep. And we're doing the same thing. Just putting it real close to the edge. And you can see why we cut that little corner there, so that you don't have all that bulk when you pull this up and attach it. So that's why we're trimming those little corners. And that one I left a little bit long, so we're going to trim it off. There we go. Alright, and then we can put one on either end down here. Okay, now we can start putting this little box together. So I'm going to pull the backing off of one side of this, right there. I'm going to lay it up against this centerpiece here, and I'm going to make sure that the ends of my chipboard meet up so that I get it straight. And then while I've got it nice and straight, I'll fold that down, press it. Looks good. Then we'll do this one. And all we're going to do is push that up till it meets, and then press that piece over. go. And then one more. So all we're doing is just attaching our chipboard all the way around. We're attaching it to itself, each piece. There we go. And now you have, if you fold these up, you have the beginning of your box. So all we're going to do now is we're going to pull these edges off and glue these together. So the backing off of these. Come on. There we go. And then when I put these together, I hold them up like this. And I press it together. And I have to do it sitting on the table. I press it together, top and bottom. And then I press that little piece on the inside. If I try to do it any other way, I get it a little bit off. So I do it that way. Just pressing those corners together like that. And then of course I always take my bone folder and go on the inside and cover or press that down. Okay, so let's see if you can see it with me doing it this way. See, I pull those edges of that chipboard together and then I press it with my other finger. I'm pressing that little piece down in there. There we go. And then just burnish it. This makes for a very strong box. I've got boxes that I made years and years ago like this that are still going strong. I still use them all the time. There we go. And then one more. Get that little piece inside there. I told my husband if I had enough chipboard and paper, I could probably build a house like this. There we go. Press that down. Just like that. And you can see we've got our box. Now I'm going to fold these over to the outside and glue them down. So just roll it over really tight and press it down like that. So roll and press. And you can come back with your bone folder and kind of flatten that top. Makes it look a little bit more like a real store-bought box. But I like these boxes better than store-bought because they last longer. Okay, so I roll it really tight and press it down. So roll and press. There we go. Alright, so that is the inside of our box and the outside of our box. Now if you have any little pieces like this that are sticking up, that's because I used 1/4 inch score tape instead of a half. I just go down through there with my art glitter glue and then press that down. And that glues all of that down nice and tight. If you use a 1/2 inch score tape on this, it won't do this. This is just because I used 1/4 inch and our piece here is a little bit wider than 1/4. It's a 1/2. There we go. Now we've got it. Now I'm going to go on the outside where we have these raw edges right here. And I am going to, I was going to cover it with brown. But now I'm thinking I'll cover it with white. If I've got enough white here. Probably will have to cut a couple more pieces. But I think I'll cover it with white to match this top up here. And then when I put my paper on, I'll have white all the way around. I think that's what I'll do. So let's just go ahead and trim this off. And then if I need to, I can just put some more score tape on some more white pieces. Okay, now to cover these, you need to do the same thing. Just pretend that you're putting the box together. The only difference is on these, you're going to lay this over just a little bit past the end of that chipboard. That way, you want that, where you folded that, you want it to be right in the center of that gap there between your chipboard. That kind of brings it all together. And then just press it over like that. Okay, I have that one just a little bit long, so I'm going to trim it off. Now, I didn't trim these at an angle. I will trim the side ones at an angle, but I leave these straight. Then I'm going to go back and make sure that I've got the edges glued down. And just press that down like that. Okay, I'm going to put this one over here. I'm going to make sure that I've got it cut right. Yes. And if you want to, you can just go ahead and put your glue on like this if you're using 1/4 inch score tape. That way you don't have to go back and put your glue on later. Usually when I do it like this, I always get it all over me, so. Alright, you're going to do the same thing. Run it out just a fraction of an inch past that fold, or past the end of your chipboard. Pressing it down. Same thing over here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my glue right there. Press that down. Okay, so there we go. We have both of the long sides covered. Now we just need to cover these two. And I think these scrap pieces are going to be just big enough, I do believe. Hopefully. Well, that one's not going to be. Okay, I'm going to use 2 pieces on this since I really don't have a scrap that's big enough. I am going to use that one, and then I'll use this little piece here. So we're just going to pull the backing off of one side. Put our art glitter glue. And I'm just going to start it right where that other one ended there. And press it down. We'll go ahead and put this one on. And I think I'm going to cut this one a little bit. So you can piece these. There's no problem in piecing them. Just kind of overlap when you piece them so that it'll have that extra strength. But it's not a problem. Once you get your paper on the outside, you'll never know the difference. Okay, and then I think this one is going to be big enough. Okay, now we need some pieces to go right down through here, so I'm going to cut one more piece. Okay, we have our 4 pieces cut. And I'm not cutting these at an angle either. just because I want them to cover all of this chipboard. So I'm going to start it right at the top edge and run it down to the bottom. And then just fold it over. And if you have just a little bit too long, like I do there, you can trim it off. I'd rather have it a little bit too long though, so I can always trim it to fit. There we go. Alright, I'm going to make sure that this one's the right size. From there to there, it's going to have to be cut just a tiny bit. Alright, so that is our box. Now, if you have just a tiny little bit of chipboard showing on one of your edges there, like I did, just take either a little bit of paint or a little white marker and color over that, and nobody will ever know. But that is our box, and now all we need to do is just choose our paper to put on here, and we will be finished with this. Now, I think I'm going to use my scraps on this. And I've got this scrap piece right here that I absolutely love, but this is all that I have of it. And this was an old Doodlebug Designs paper, but I like that. It looks like spring to me, so we're going to cut that down and use it on the sides. Now, of course, the way I measured is I just laid it up on here and marked it, and then I'll cut at my mark. That's how I measure. But you can measure with a ruler if you want to. And I'm making mine almost as wide as the box itself, leaving just a tiny bit of that white showing. So see, I just made a little mark right there. First, I think I'm going to cut the other side. I'm just going to lay it up here like this, make a little mark, and cut this side down. Okay, so that's got both of the sides, and I just need to trim this one. And we'll trim this one the same length. So do it like this. That way you can make your box whatever size you want, and then just lay your paper up on there and mark it and trim it. I don't know if these are going to be, ooh, they will just be long enough for the side, for the ends. Have quite a bit more white showing, but I think that's the only piece of that paper that I have. So I may have to go with that. Or I can put something else on the ends. We'll look at that in a minute. Let's go ahead and glue these on first. More art glitter glue. Oh, I wish my other shipment of art glitter glue would get here. I'm running low myself. There we go. Got that one on. I think that's pretty. And then we'll put this one on this side. Alright, I have quite a few choices here of some different scraps that I have. That come, some of them come from this collection and some of them don't. That one kind of goes with it. This one come from the collection, but I would use that side, I think, if I use it on the ends. This one is from the same collection. I may use this on the inside because it's a little bit busy for the outside too. Not sure if that one was from the same collection. I don't think so, but I don't think I want to use that one. This one is from the same collection. I think that's pretty. I might use that on the inside. That looks pretty. And I don't think that one was from the same collection, but it's pretty. So let's just let's see what we can do. I think I may use this in the bottom. That looks pretty. So I know that I need a piece that is 4 1/4 by 8 and just a little bit shy, because in order for it to go down in the bottom of this, it's going to have to be a little bit shy of 4 1/4 by 8. So I am going to 4 1/4, and I'm just going to back it off just a little bit of the 4 1/4. And then I'm going to back it off just a little bit of the 8. And we'll try that. Yes, that fits in there perfect. So I'm going to see if I can get it up just long enough to put a little glue under there. I loved this paper. I wish I had more of it. Very pretty, very springy. Okay, that is a nice tight fit. I like that. Okay, so that is the inside. Now I don't have enough of that to go on the sides, so let's see what else we have. You know, the back side of that would go pretty good with it, so we'll just do that. So let's cut this off of here. And then I know the end pieces are 4 1/4 by 3, so we need to cut just shy of that. And then always dry fit them to see if they're going to work. Okay, that's going to be a little bit tall, so I need to cut off just a little bit. So instead of, I need to cut it back to about, let's see if that works right there. Yes, that's perfect. So instead of cutting it at just shy of 3 and instead of cutting it just shy of 3, I cut it at 2 7/8, and that works perfect. So let's cut this one at 2 7/8. Make sure that fits. I always like to dry fit them. And that's a little bit, that one's just a tiny bit tall. So I'm just going to trim a tiny bit off of that. Now for the end pieces, we know that we need it 2 7/8 by, let's say, 7 7/8. So 2 7/8, and then 7 7/8. I'm going to cut it a little bit longer. I can always trim it off. Oh, that worked. So 2 7/8, and then I cut it just back a 1/16 from an 8, and that works perfect. So 2 7/8, and then just shy of 8, right there. Okay. All right. Now I can tell you the sizes of these if this is the size box you want to make. This is 2 7/8 by 7 15/16. So it's just shy of 8. So just go to 8 and back off just a little bit. And then this one is 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. That's the size of these. So we're going to put these on the inside, and then we'll cover these ends. Now when you're gluing these down in here, make sure that you put that glue right up to the very edge so that this won't catch and start rolling up when you put things in here. Right, so we have all of the inside covered, and I really like that. I'm glad I found that paper. So we just need to cover the two ends, and then I'm going to cover the bottom on this one. So I have cut this piece for the bottom. It doesn't come from the same paper collection, but I think it'll go well enough, especially since it's on the bottom. And this is cut at 4 1/4 by 8. Okay, we have that bottom covered. And now I was just looking at these two pieces that I cut off of that on the inside, and they fit perfectly right here on the end. So I'm just going to use them. That way I don't have to cut up any more paper. I just refilled my art glitter glue, and I think I overfilled it. So we will spread that out a little bit. There we go. And then this end and this little box will be finished. And there we go. So that is our little box, and that's our 3D project for, let's see, Steph Gibson. She wanted a fancy fun fold card and or a 3D project. So we did a fun fold card earlier, so we're going to do this 3D project for her. So that is it, and I'll show you. I'm probably going to keep some of these things in here. Those fit perfect in there. And keep them standing up over there so I don't have to go searching for them when I get ready to use them. Alright guys, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click that little bell when that little bell pops up so that you'll be notified when we put up new videos. And we will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.